Welcome investors! Today's video is going to be dedicated to war in Ukraine and war in Israel. So if you're interested in those two subjects, please watch the video, pay attention, and in the end, let me know what do you think about my conclusions about those two events which are going on around the world right now. Okay, so let's start with the war in Ukraine. War in Ukraine started in 2022 in February 24. War in Israel started in October 7, 2023. Soon we are going to be approaching 2 years of horrible war in Ukraine. And the war in Ukraine, of course, has a deep background. Started in 2014. Honestly, it started more than 100 years ago when Russian Empire wanted to always subjugate the Ukraine. If you take a look at the historical event in 2017, 2018, Lenin, when took over the power in Russia, created the communist country. Right away, one of the first decisions which he made was to go and subjugate Ukraine. They always wanted to have the Ukraine under control. And of course, they did for many, many years. But on another side, there was always sense of independence. There was always will for being independent from Russia within Ukraine. So there was always a struggle between the forces which wanted to include Ukraine within Soviet Union, and there was always forces which wanted to be independent, which didn't want it to be part of the Russian paradise. Right now, fast forward, we have war going on. It's going to be soon 2 years. It's horrible war. A lot of civilians are dying, but this is trademark of Russians. That's how they conduct the war. They are focusing not on the military targets, they are focusing on civilian infrastructure because they want to intimidate civilians, because they know that civilians are going to influence the government, they are going to influence the army. But I don't think in this case is going to work pretty well for them, because what the invasion for Ukraine did, it united entire Ukraine against Russians. Let's quickly jump into the war in Israel. Basically, Hamas started shooting rockets in October 7, 2023, and right now we are a little bit over a month of these horrible events. Nothing was indicating that this is going to happen. Nothing was showing any brewing intentions. Of course, there was always tensions between Israel and Palestine, but this time there was nothing indicating that this kind of scale, this kind of attack is going to take place. You have to understand that behind Hamas there is Iran. Behind Hezbollah there is Iran. And behind Iran there is Russia. Because for past 2 years Russia developed close relations, very close relations with Iran. Much closer than in previous years. So in the best interest of Russia and Vladimir Putin is to create another conflict around the world which would draw attention away from Ukraine to anything else. So the results, this what we see right now in Gaza, between Gaza and between Palestine and Israel, these are results of actions of Vladimir Putin. Of course, we don't have proofs, and probably we will never have proofs. But you have to think about this. Who is benefiting the most from the events in Israel and Palestine? Of course, Russia. Every single bullet sent to Israel to help them, it's one less bullet sent to Ukraine. Every single person which is paying attention to war in Israel, it's paying less attention to war in Ukraine. And this translates into the money given to charities, given to any organizations which support Ukraine. And Putin knows exactly that this was going to happen. He wants the Ukraine to be forgotten conflict, which he can consume later when he rebuilds his military and takes over at least the parts which he took right now, so he doesn't look like he's defeated. So those events in Gaza, in Israel, in Palestine are actually orchestrated by Vladimir Putin, indirectly using, of course, Iran, and Iran having close ties to Hezbollah and Hamas. Ukraine is gonna fight to the end. President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, knows that Ukraine, without the access to the Black Sea, it's meaningless country. And Putin also knows this, that cutting the Ukraine from Black Sea is something which is going to undermine Ukraine forever. So that's why this fight which we see right now, it's not the fight between the ego of Volodymyr Zelensky and Vladimir Putin. No, it is actually the fight for survival of Ukraine and prosperous Ukraine, because Ukraine needs access to the Black Sea in order to export their grains, in order to export their products. So Ukraine is not stepping down from the battlefield anytime soon, and Russians are not stepping down from the battlefield anytime soon. How this is going to end? Extremely hard to predict, but neither side is going to back down. If Vladimir Putin backs down, he knows that this is end of his ruling and possibly end of his life. Zelensky is not going to back down because he knows that backing down is going to put the Ukraine into the disadvantage by cutting the access to the Black Sea, by giving time to Russians to rebuild. So he is not backing down. Even with the recent events and talks about the world being tired, about the Ukraine losing so many soldiers, so many resources, they are not going anywhere, because they know, the leadership knows, that this is a fight for survival. Okay, that's it for today. Please let me know, what do you think about this current situation in Ukraine and of course in Israel and Gaza. Let me know if you agree with my conclusions. If you disagree, please write me down the comments. I know this is channel about investing, but this is a conflict, both conflicts I'm watching very closely, especially conflict in Ukraine, war in Ukraine, because I'm Polish and Ukraine is bordering with my country, and my country is very actively helping Ukraine. So that's why I just wanted to make this video. I made the videos much earlier on the beginning of this war, talking about possible nuclear attack from Russia. If you're interested, please check my another videos which I posted about the war in Ukraine. Okay, thank you so much. Stay healthy and well. All the best to you.